Trump devotees still drinking the Kool-Aid in obedience to his orangeness. You know, we use that phrase, drinking the Kool-Aid, a lot. I think a lot of people don't realize exactly where it came from because the origin of the phrase was in 1978. In 1978, you know, an awful lot of people, a lot of you listening right now are, you know, probably weren't born in 1978, or if you were, you weren't paying attention to what was going on. You might have been a little kid. But back then, this 28-year-old congressional aide to Congressman Leo Ryan by the name of Jackie Spears flew down to British Guyana along with a couple of reporters and a pilot to find out what was going on in the so-called People's Temple, a church that had moved itself from San Francisco down to Guyana under the tutelage of the Reverend Jim Jones. In a way, this kind of ties into our second hour topic about the death of Christianity. But anyhow, they wanted to find out what was going on because there were reports that Jones had been beating and raping and stealing money from his parishioners. And when they showed up at the airport, Jim Jones ordered them murdered. And sure enough, you know, his goons came out, his church members came out. They shot dead 3 reporters. They shot dead Congressman Leo Ryan. And they put 5 bullets in Jackie Spear, the then 28-year-old aide to Congressman Ryan. Well, Jackie Spear survived and now represents that, I believe, that same district that Ryan represented in Southern California. And she had something to say recently about this. She said, Jim Jones was a religious cult leader. Donald Trump is a political cult leader. As a victim of violence and of a cult leader, I am sensitive to conduct that smacks of that. She had been left for dead with 5 bullets in her on the airport runway for 22 hours, Jackie Spear. Anyhow, she goes on to say we have to be wary of anyone who can have such power over people that they lose their ability to think independently. And, you know, so generally when we say drinking the Kool-Aid, we're talking about, you know, people who have fantastical, you know, ideas. And certainly Trump has had a lot of those, saying that, you know, our U.S. intelligence agency was wrong when they said that Russia helped him gain the White House in 2016, or, you know, his lies about his crowd size at his inaugural, or Obamacare, or trade policy, or hydroxychloroquine, or Sharpie-altered storms, or the very fine people among the Nazis in Charlottesville. But if you really want to talk about Kool-Aid, you have to hearken back to what happened in November of 1978, which was after Jim Jones murdered those people and thought that he had killed Jackie Spear. His guys went back to the People's Temple, and he ordered everybody to literally drink from these giant vats of cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. And 913 people did and died. And then he put a bullet in his head with a gun. So if you're going to literally take that phrase, drinking the Kool-Aid, for you, I mean, if you're literally going to use it, or actually it's still a metaphor, I suppose, because, but in any case, if you're going to use that metaphor, really you should use it around things that kill people, because that's what the Kool-Aid did, not just weird ideas. And sure enough, as Dr. Deborah Birx and as the Brookings Institution both pointed out a few months ago, over 400,000 Americans died of COVID who did not need to die of COVID. If they had simply listened to Dr. Fauci and the science and worn masks and social distanced, 400,000 Americans would still be alive. But instead, they listened to Donald Trump as he was trying to keep the economy open so he could get himself reelected. And so, you know, I would say Jim Jones, it turns out, was just a piker. For every 1 person Jim Jones killed with his Kool-Aid, Donald Trump killed 438 people with his lies about hydroxychloroquine or drinking bleach or, hey, it's just the flu. I mean, he even, you know, when in January, when he and Melania and Barron all got vaccinated against COVID in the White House, they never told anybody. They did it in secret. And their high-level followers, you know, Giuliani and Christie, they got treatment that wasn't available to the public. The monoclonal antibodies and the steroids at that point in time was not generally available to people. Herman Cain got nothing. He died. And now you've got people like Tucker Carlson and Charlie Kirk last night talking about how, requiring college students returning to college to get COVID vaccines is somehow like, the Holocaust or the Nazis or it's bizarre. You can read all about that over at MediaMatters.org. Maryland yesterday, the state of Maryland, reported that 100% of their COVID deaths now are among unvaccinated people. And, these are the Trump humpers, right? By and large. Donald Trump, and so now it goes into phase two. Trump first denied the virus in order to get himself reelected. He wanted to get himself reelected to keep himself out of jail because he had a nice scam going, right? Ivanka and Jared made over $100 million during the 4 years Trump was in office. And Jared got $1 billion loan from a foreign government that certainly wouldn't have given him $1 billion under any other circumstances. Donald Trump made hundreds of millions of dollars and skimmed hundreds of millions of dollars off his campaign. So it was a real money-making enterprise, plus it kept them all out of jail. And now Trump's got a new scam. I mentioned this, toward the end of the show yesterday. He's suing Facebook, Google, and Twitter, saying that because they have complied with federal subpoenas in the past, they are now part of the federal government, and therefore the First Amendment applies to them. They cannot inhibit people's right of free speech, which is just a totally specious argument. In fact, Avika Cohen is tweeting, the two guys, the lawyers who filed this on Trump's behalf, two of them have at AOL addresses, AOL.com. There's a law firm that put the thing together. They do personal injury work and insurance litigation. And the lead counsel is a specialist in insurance claims. Trump doesn't even want this lawsuit to go to court, because if it does, it'll subject him to discovery, where he could be forced to testify under oath about his role in the January 6th insurrection. He knows this lawsuit's going to get thrown out of court. And I pointed that out yesterday, and about an hour after I got home, after doing the show yesterday afternoon, I get this email from Donald Trump. And I had said on the air, I guarantee you, or words to the effect of, I guarantee you this is not just, a scam to grab the news cycle and to ingratiate himself with Republicans. It's a scam to raise money. And sure enough, I got this email. Dear Fred, did you watch my historic press conference? And I announced that I am suing Facebook, Twitter, and Google for unconstitutionally censoring me and other conservatives around the nation. My team is demanding an end to the shadow banning, a stop to the silencing, a stop to the blacklisting, vanishing, and canceling. We will not rest until we've achieved a major victory for the American people. This will be an uphill battle, Fred, and I cannot do it alone. I need you to stand with me and fight back. For a short time, you can increase your impact by 500%. Please contribute immediately to stand with me and to increase your impact by 500%. Your contribution of $250 becomes $1,500. Contribute $100, it becomes $600. Contribute $50, it becomes $300. Contribute $25, it becomes $150. Contribute any amount. In the end, I am confident we will achieve a victory for the American people, but only if I have your support, Fred. I'll look over the donor list soon, and I'll be looking for your name. Don't let me down. Please contribute any amount right now to get on the donor list, and your gift will be increased by 500%. Thank you, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, 45th President of the United States. I mean, Jim Jones extracted all of the wealth of his followers. They had to give him everything, and he made millions. Donald Trump is just doing the same thing. It's like one more scam to extract that, and sure enough, the little make this a monthly recurring donation box is pre-checked. You can find the link over at HartmannReport.com in today's article. So now we've got the Delta variant burning through the states, through the red states and the red counties, like nobody's business. And you've got states like Maryland reporting that 100% of their hospital deaths right now, COVID deaths, are attributable to people who never got vaccinated. Donald Trump, who said that his favorite book was P.T. Barnum's The Art of Making Money, P.T. Barnum, who famously said, or is famously said to have said, there's a sucker born every minute, is still running his scams about, and it's not just Trump. Half the Republicans in Congress refuse to tell reporters whether they've been vaccinated or not. half of them. Why? Because they don't want to tell their constituents. Why? Because they don't want their constituents to get vaccinated. Why? Because they are hoping, and all you have to do to see the success of their strategy, by the way, is look at today's stock market, which is down about 1 to 2%. They are hoping that if Americans can experience another wave of COVID deaths, that will crash the economy, which will help them in the 2022 elections, because Biden will take the blame. And literally tens of millions, probably over 100 million Americans are following their advice and not getting vaccinated. And only God knows how many of these people are going to die. But I guarantee you it's more than the 913 who Jim Jones killed.